Welcome, everyone. Today, we will explore falling factorials, why finite differences act like derivatives with them, and how Stirling numbers convert between ordinary powers and falling factorial coordinates. A counting argument from last time is about to become an algebra tool you can use to take differences and even compute sums of powers faster. By the end, you will see falling factorials as a polynomial basis and discover why the finite difference operator acts on them just like a derivative acts on ordinary powers. The nice part is we start from the exact identity you already proved, and we just change our viewpoint from counting to polynomials.
So the same formula that counted functions will now tell us something about polynomials for any input, not just integers?
Exactly. The equation on the slide says the power x to the n can be rewritten as a combination of falling factorial polynomials, and the coefficients are Stirling numbers of the second kind. First reminder, in Lecture 6, we counted all functions from 1 through n to 1 through k by splitting them according to how many values they actually hit. That is why Stirling numbers appeared. Now the key upgrade, since both sides are polynomials in x and they agree on all positive integers, they must be the same polynomial. So the identity holds for every real or complex x. And today, we use that to build a discrete version of calculus. Falling factorials will be the basis that makes the difference operator simple. Here is the surprise. The reason we learn powers x to the n in calculus is that derivatives treat them nicely. In the discrete world, there's a different basis that the difference operator treats nicely, and it is falling factorials. When you differentiate x to the n, you drop the degree by 1 and pull down n. That is why calculus computations become systematic.
So you are saying falling factorials are to discrete math what ordinary powers are to calculus?
Yes, with the finite difference operator falling factorials play the starring role, and the Stirling numbers are literally the conversion chart between the two coordinate systems, powers and falling factorials. Let us name the new building blocks. The headline idea is that we are not changing the polynomials we study, only the basis we use to describe them. This equation defines the falling factorial. Think of it as multiplying x, then x minus 1, then x minus 2, and so on for n factors. On the left, you have the familiar power basis. It is perfect for ordinary derivatives. On the right is the falling factorial basis. These are still polynomials, just written in a way that matches counting and step-by-step changes.
Why do you say the change of basis is triangular?
Because each falling factorial of length k expands to x to the k plus lower powers only, so degrees do not mix upward, which guarantees uniqueness of the conversion. Now, we cache in the identity with a concrete conversion. We are going to express x to the 4 using the falling factorial building blocks. The equation shows the final expansion, x to the 4, equals a combination of falling factorials of lengths 1 through 4.
Those numbers 1, 7, 6, 1 look like the Stirling triangle row for n equals 4.
Exactly. These coefficients are Stirling numbers of the second kind. They are not random constants. They are the change of basis entries you already met in counting. A fast sanity check is the leading term. Only the length 4 falling factorial has an x to the 4 term, and its coefficient is 1, so the top degree behavior matches automatically. So from now on, you can read S of nk as a coordinate conversion factor. It tells you how to rewrite powers in the falling factorial coordinate system. Here is the operator that drives discrete calculus. Instead of looking at infinitesimal change, we look at what happens when x jumps by 1. This equation defines delta f. Evaluate at x plus 1 and subtract the value at x. It is the discrete version of a derivative.
So delta is like a slope, but over a fixed step of length 1?
Yes, it measures change per step. And just like derivatives, delta is linear, so we can compute it term by term once we have a good basis. The big goal is the last bullet. Find polynomials where applying delta drops the degree in a simple pattern. Falling factorials will do that perfectly. This is the discrete calculus moment. One line captures why falling factorials are the right coordinates for delta. The equation says delta of the falling factorial of length n equals n times the falling factorial of length n minus 1. That is a perfect mirror of the derivative rule for x to the n.
Why does shifting x to x plus 1 make it collapse so cleanly?
Because the two products are almost identical. When you write the product at x plus 1 and subtract the product at x, nearly all factors match, and the difference leaves exactly n copies of the shorter product. And once you believe this one-step rule, you can iterate delta. Each application lowers the length by 1 and multiplies by the next integer factor, just like repeated differentiation. Let us actually compute a finite difference and see the advantage of the following factorial expansion. First, we rewrite x cubed in the following factorial basis: 1 copy of length 1, 3 copies of length 2, and 1 copy of length 3. Now compare. If you do it directly, you expand x plus 1 cubed and subtract x cubed, which lands on the quadratic 3x squared plus 3x plus 1.
Where do falling factorials help if we already know the binomial expansion?
Because delta is effortless on the falling factorial side, you just drop the length. Delta of length 1 becomes 1, delta of length 2 becomes 2 times length 1, delta of length 3 becomes 3 times length 2. Then you can expand back to powers only at the end. So the workflow is convert to falling factorials, apply delta term by term, and if you want, translate back to powers to recognize the final polynomial. There is a beautiful feedback loop here. Stirling numbers help you compute differences, and differences help you compute Stirling numbers. This formula says, if you take k forward differences of x to the n, and then plug in x equals 0, you get k factorial times the Stirling number s of n k. The code block shows how to do that numerically. Build the list of x to the n values, repeatedly take forward differences, and read off the first entry. Then divide by k factorial to get s of n k.
Why does evaluating at x equals 0 isolate just one coefficient?
Because in the falling factorial basis, every term x falling j is 0 at x equals 0 unless j equals 0. After applying delta k times the term of length j turns into a constant times the term of length j minus k. At x equals 0, only j equals k produces a non-zero constant. That is why the coefficient s of n k pops out. So far, we have been rewriting powers in the falling factorial basis, but a real change of coordinates needs an inverse map too. This equation is the dual identity. Every falling factorial can be expanded as an ordinary polynomial in x, and the coefficients are the signed Stirling numbers of the first kind.
Why are they signed this time?
Because x minus 1, x minus 2, and so on introduce alternating signs when you expand the product. The sign pattern is captured by the factor -1 to the n minus k. The inverse relation says the two Stirling triangles undo each other. Converting powers to falling factorials and back gives you the original polynomial coefficients. And the example is a quick reality check. Multiply x times x minus 1 times x minus 2, and you really get x cubed minus 3x squared plus 2x. Once delta is our derivative, the matching question is, what is the discrete version of an antiderivative? It is summation over consecutive integers. This formula is a discrete power rule for sums. The sum of the falling factorial of length k from 0 up to n minus 1 equals 1 over k plus 1 times the falling factorial of length k plus 1 at n. Here is a concrete example with k equals 2. It collapses to a small arithmetic computation, and you get 20 without expanding any quadratics.
So to sum a complicated polynomial, you would first convert it into falling factorials because those are the ones that sum cleanly?
Exactly. That is the main strategy. Change basis. Do the discrete calculus step and change basis back, only if you want a familiar closed form. Let us compress the whole story into 4 takeaways you can actually use. First, Stirling numbers of the second kind are the coordinates that rewrite powers in the falling factorial basis. Second, signed Stirling numbers of the first kind reverse the conversion, so you can always come back to ordinary powers. Third, falling factorials are the eigenbases for doing finite differences by hand, because delta lowers the length exactly the way a derivative lowers degree.
And the last point is the payoff. Sums of powers become a change of basis exercise?
Yes, that is the synthesis. Once you can rewrite a polynomial using falling factorials, summation becomes as formulaic as integration of x to the k in ordinary calculus. For practice, we will sum cubes from 0 cubed up to n minus 1 cubed using the falling factorial expansion of x cubed.
So we should replace x cubed by that falling factorial combination, then use the clean summation rule on each piece?
Exactly. In the first equation block, we distribute the sum across the three following factorial terms. Then we use the rule. Summing a length k following factorial gives 1 over k plus 1 times a length k plus 1 following factorial at n. That is how we get the combination of length 2, length 3, and length 4 following factorials. If you now expand those following factorials and simplify, everything collapses to a famous closed form. The sum of cubes equals the square of n times n minus 1 over 2. For reflection, x following n is built out of shifts by integers, so it is designed to behave well under x going to x plus 1. That is why delta and following factorials fit together as naturally as derivatives and powers. Thanks for watching this. Subscribe to Thinking in Math channel for this and other interesting math topics. And we always welcome your feedbacks. Leave your questions and suggestions in the comments.